Well, it's the weekend. Welcome again to Massey United Insurance's Line and Length. It's the cricket program where we look at the sport not only in the region but internationally as well. I'm Barry Wilkinson. Boy, we got a good show for you today. We've been hearing all week about these recommendations from the panel who want to bring a dissolution to West Indies cricket and the West Indies Cricket Board. Well, we're going to hear exactly what happened at that big media conference on Wednesday last week. And we're also going to talk to some very important people who have had their say about if this is the right time to bring this dissolution to the West Indies Cricket Board, and indeed who is going to implement it if it does happen. Daren Ganga is on our show live from Trinidad and Tobago, the former West Indies and Trinidad and Tobago player. And in the studio we have Franklyn Stephenson, the man who was branded a rebel, but he's very outspoken again about this issue that he's extremely passionate about. Plus, pitches in the Caribbean, are they any good anymore? Well, one groundsman and a curator thinks he has the solution. We're going to head down to Kensington Oval with our correspondent Joel Manning talking to Henry Davis, the head curator. The women are back. Yes, they had a very successful series against Pakistan, and Andrew Seeley met the coach and some other officials at the airport. You're watching Massey United Insurance's Line and Length. We've got a great show. Don't you move.
Across the Caribbean, more people are placing their trust in Massey United Insurance for the protection of the things that are important to them, their homes, businesses, and their prized possessions. That's because Massey United Insurance offers excellent general insurance coverage to help you manage whatever life sends your way. Our cadre of well-reputed agencies and trained insurance professionals are always ready to provide you with sound advice and prompt service. Choose the security and sound strength that is Massey United Insurance.
We're back on the program. Well, we're going to talk to Daren Ganga in just a moment, but to give you a background as to what has been happening, there has been a particular panel set up by CARICOM, and that panel, which has been chaired by UWI KFL Campus Principal Professor Udine Baruto, has been making some recommendations for West Indies cricket, one which could see the immediate dissolution of the West Indies Cricket Board. Let's hear what she said in Grenada last week before we talk to Daren Ganga.
When we did our deliberations, we found that in spite of the substantial transformation and modernization of the business of cricket in other countries, and good examples are such as England and Australia, the governance of West Indies cricket has failed to evolve in a manner which reflects the realities of the modern game. So the existing governance structure is more closely aligned to its origin in the early 20th century, whereas than with the modern governance and administrative arrangements that are ongoing and necessary for the commercial progress and advancement of the game. That was a major finding that we came to. Now, before I go on to other aspects at the heart of our recommendations, I want to state, and this is stated up front in the report, and I wish to state here today, that the panel declares unequivocally that it has no issues with the individuals who occupy the leadership and composition of the West Indies Cricket Board and the Territorial Board. Instead, we are of the view that cricket is increasingly a growing social and economic subsector in the Caribbean, and that the requirements and inputs for its effective delivery and management and also its ongoing growth have evolved and changed considerably from a century ago. These changes have made the existing governance structure anachronistic. The governance structure is out of step, out of sync, it is out of alignment with the modern requirements of the game.
Let's go straight now live to Trinidad and Tobago. We're going to talk with Daren Ganga, former Trinidad and Tobago and West Indies player. He's now a very prolific administrator and, of course, cricket commentator. Daren, first things first, you had a chance to read the entire report. What are the initial thoughts coming from your end about the implications that this has for West Indies cricket?
Well, Barry, first of all, thank you for having me, and good day to all your viewers. I must say that there are some common threads in terms of that particular report, and us here in the West Indies, would be very familiar with two very prominent reports. That is the Patterson report and the Charles Wilkins report. This has been a report, and these two reports were basically distributed throughout the length and breadth of the Caribbean. And in this particular report, there is mention of aspects of those two reports, which this CARICOM Cricket Review Panel is recommending for immediate implementation. I think this is very, very important for the furtherance of cricket here in the West Indies. This report makes mention of a new West Indies Cricket Board structure, a new governance structure, and a different way in which we administer the game of cricket here in the Caribbean. I think this is really the genesis of most of our problems in West Indian cricket, and this report I'm hoping will have impact, and we should or could see some sort of implementation very soon.
Now, the key word is that last one you just said, implementation. You said the Patterson report, the Wilkins report, they've had so many reports, recommendations, but no implementation. Do you get a sense that this particular panel has the power to implement more so than those gone by? Because if it's not implemented, it's just another talk shop.
Yeah, I think the mere fact that CARICOM saw it fit to appoint this committee to review West Indies cricket, I think it has become more and more of an important issue for the entire region. In the past, we would have heard a lot of comments from prominent persons throughout the length and breadth of the Caribbean, making reference and mention to West Indian cricket and what sort of embarrassment it has caused us over the years. We've seen the decline in our international ranking. Most recently, we've seen that premature end to the tour in India, and then the debacle with our most recent coach, Phil Simmons. So I think it is getting to the point where enough is enough. I think the powers that be throughout the region, they must get involved. There's always been this argument about governments not getting involved in the central running of cricket as per ICC rules and regulations, but it's high tide here in the West Indies that we should get involved. All stakeholders, I think they have a right of a say in West Indian cricket. We here in Trinidad and Tobago, we are trying to effect similar types of changes in the structure of the Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board, and we're hoping for this to have a ripple effect. So if collectively we can join together and really pinpoint these governance issues in our cricket, I think it will have a positive effect in terms of how the game is administered here and eventually the results from our West Indian teams.
If Daren Ganga was in charge, what would be your first method of getting this report and the findings implemented? How would you handle it if you were the man to be in charge of the governance committee?
Well, I think the first thing is basically to reach out to the territorial boards. It's very important to have that buy-in from the territorial boards because, in effect, these are the institutions that are subsets to the West Indies Cricket Board. And it's important for this implementation to happen from this base level before we can effect that change at the top. Whilst this particular CARICOM report is suggesting for there to be immediate dissolution of the West Indies Cricket Board and for there to be an interim change committee set up to sort of marshal this transitionary period, I still think it's important for this to get buy-in from the territorial boards and to ensure that these territorial boards are consistent with the recommendations that are being made by this CARICOM Cricket Review Panel. We can't have this happen unilateral to West Indies Cricket Board. It must happen in conjunction with the territorial boards so that real change can be effected.
Is this the answer though, Daren? Do you think this is going to be the answer to the problems that have been affecting the performances of the team once this happens?
Well, I think it will bring more transparency, more accountability to the decision-making process. I think it would allow all stakeholders in West Indian cricket to have a say and some sort of influence. If you looked at this report, you would see it speaks about a council which has representation from all the different stakeholders in West Indian cricket, and this particular council will sort of guide policies and make recommendations for the eventual board. And this West Indies Cricket Board and this new board that they're proposing is obviously a board that consists of 15 persons. It will continue to have representation from the territorial boards. It will have representation from management of the West Indies Cricket Board, and as well some critical and key stakeholders in this board. It requires a collaborative effort. It requires a fairness, transparency, and what is most important, it requires the right persons to be in positions of leadership where there are no conflicting sort of issues that could distort true and important decision making.
All right, good stuff. Daren, thank you so much. I look forward to perhaps seeing you as part of that new process if there is that's to be implemented. But thank you so much, Daren Ganga, joining us live there from Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back on Master United Insurance's Line and Length.
Across the Caribbean, more people are placing their trust in Massey United Insurance for the protection of the things that are important to them, their homes, businesses, and their prized possessions. That's because Massey United Insurance offers excellent general insurance coverage to help you manage whatever life sends your way. Our cadre of well-reputed agencies and trained insurance professionals are always ready to provide you with sound advice and prompt service. Choose the security and sound strength that is Massey United Insurance.
So we're back on the program. We heard extensively from Daren Ganga. Now we're going to talk to a man who was branded a rebel, Franklyn Stephenson, of course, who played for Barbados and played professional cricket for a number of years in South Africa and throughout the rest of the world. Franklyn, this issue is, I know, tugging at your heart for a number of reasons. The main one, like you were saying before the program started, is that you too feel that it is time that the West Indies Cricket Board changes their whole approach and their whole structure.
Well, definitely. The cricket's been doing it for a long time, and we've so often gone back to the drawing board, but we've seen so many poor policies enacted and then not even followed upon, and then it just keeps going on and on all the time. Cricket has been going further and further back on the burner for a long time, and so you always kept wondering who could do something about it. You always felt that if any one government in the Caribbean was to come out and say something about the board or something needs to be done, then that government would be labeled, that's because you'll be insular in your own protectiveness of your citizens or whatever playing, But I'm happy to see that there is somebody that can actually do something about it. It's, a bit drastic that it's, like immediate effect. So it shows how deeply it's being felt at the moment. And I'm really hopeful that something positive can come out of it. Although, to be so sudden, have we really done our research to say that this is the way to address the problem and these are the people? Because we've had a lot of tried and, disproven the same old suspects in West Indies cricket for a very long time. But we need people who have the game and the youngsters at heart, because it's a lot more than cricket being represented out there on the playing field, where the West Indies especially are concerned. And I'm really hopeful now that the next step is the right one and a decisive one that we're going to be taking. Decisive
is a key word there, because like I said to Daren Ganga, there have been several reports. We had the Wilkin report, we had the Patterson report, we had several things. People say things, we get high and mighty, and then nothing is done. Are we going to be talking about this same time next year, saying that I wonder why that was not implemented?
I really hope not, because even throughout the Caribbean, throughout the region, throughout Barbados, you look at a lot of things that's happened here in the last few years in cricket. People are very much into presenting a problem, and they come and they lament, and it's a whole long issue. You can draw it out all night and the next day. Who are offering solutions?
That's right.
Do we ever really look at those?
Or implementing them?
Yeah. Even offering, because are we really ready for them when they do come and jump up and grab us around the rear end or whatever? Do we know what we're looking for, or is it just going to be, you know how that it is, and that's what normally happens, and that's the system? I'm tired of hearing that sort of nonsense. When I've got youngsters that are so anxious to play the game, we've got a world that wants to see West Indies cricket, a resurgence in West Indies cricket. So everything is there asking for something to happen, and we get the worst decisions being made. We get things that, the people are so appalled about. And then, you look around and say, well, who can do something about it? When people are making statements like, you hear statements like, if there's anybody better, let them come.
But Frankie, there's always somebody better. So I know that statement is one which should be thrown through the play table once again, because there's always somebody better, and we need to admit that. But perhaps more fundamentally, we've had the CARICOM review panel now. Distinguished personnel, some may say only one cricket person on the panel. That may have been a good or bad thing. I don't know for sure. But as you mentioned, we have gone through perhaps in the last 6 to 8 months in terms of West Indies cricket, some of the greatest turmoil we've had in the last 20 years. And yet we keep hearing from the board that things are well, that India is going to come, India is going to absolve us of the 42 million. So I suspect that this is the reason why the changes would want to be seen to be so dramatic and drastic.
Well, first of all, it's easy to say that there's always something better, but remember, that person has got to be selected, and so often, it's just that choose, and our choices are the one that, puts a noose around our neck in a sense, because, it's been proven, we've been choosing for a long time, but do we really have the tools, are we using the tools that we need to actually select these people to come and take our cricket forward?
If you were to get a call tomorrow from the Prime Minister of Grenada asking you to assist in West Indies cricket, would you be willing to do it?
I've never refused to help with anything at all to do with cricket, but I must say I'm very comfortable doing what I'm doing at the moment, and that gives me nice autonomy, and keeps me out of, my life has been about a lot of statements and, issues that people have thrown to you for a long time. Time vindicates me, of course, and I'm very, very happy with all the decisions that I've made in my life. But I'm just hoping for all the best, but you need to I want to have confidence in the people that are put in place to oversee, because really and truly it's about the next step, the next generation. It's a young people's thing, it's kids, it's people growing and having a culture of listening and adapting, and we haven't had that for a long time. So
if we take it onto the field now, Frankie, because we have just witnessed West Indies against Sri Lanka, and the performances were dismal to say the least. I don't think too many of us were surprised by the performances, but this is the next generation of our cricketers. We start the regional 4-day. These are supposedly the best cricketers, but I want to posit that they're just not good.
If this is the best that we've got, then we've got to accept that in a sense, but do they have the best preparation to actually step up there? When you look around, can you look around and find anything that was really successful and positive that you can still actually use practically from the, say, as Barry mentioned before, or glory days and so on? And we can have a person that's actually, when you read the records, I don't have to basically blow my own trumpet. I've got mates coming out of England, coming out from all over, but people still, mention the name, commentaries. In today's game, whether it's test cricket, one-day cricket, the feedback's coming that they're still talking about it. I know that it's been under the carpet here and hidden for a long time in a sense, but it's in front of our eyes. We have an academy here that has so many good pitches. Every time you speak to the players, it's been a failure at Kensington Oval to have good pitches to practice. Who's been seeking that? You don't wait for the coaches to come and say, listen, you guys need to work on your game. I've got 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds coming. From the second day they turn up, you can see improvement. And that's what we get high on in a sense. Where is the improvement? So we've been commenting and complaining about the lack of improvement, the lack of facility. We want to feel now, we're on the field of play. And you've got a person that is still very active in the game. I promised the guys I wasn't going to be getting out for the rest of the season playing some BCL cricket here. I didn't take the umpire into the equation. So that's been the one.
No, you're usually doing.
But again, I'm on the crease and I'm going to show these youngsters what I'm talking about, that if you're not in good nick, then you just bat for a long time. You don't just go and get out because you're not in good nick, sort of thing. And where bowling is concerned, look at the nonsense that we are saying. Guys take a new ball and they're outside the off stump and bowling back of a length and too short. And and we're saying that on a regular basis on the international stage. We complain that we can't do anything better. I'm sorry, but we're lying. Yeah. So we're not real. We're not honest with ourselves, right? We think that we are so important. Where is the game of cricket in this equation? So when we start to put a committee together then to look at how we're going to better the game and look, it's about the future. So we want people who actually have hands-on to deal with young people and to access how these young people You know, because it's almost a waste of time trying to coach a guy when he gets 17, 18, 19 years old. You know, the tree is getting, he's so cemented, he's got to have so much here to think that he's going to really try to make this, because if it's just minute, it's a catastrophic thing where, because your natural biomechanics and your natural, it's so much to change. So we got to really, you know, I'm going to say go back to the drawing board.
No, don't use that. Don't use that.
You know? So the next step is very, very big. It's easy to say this is not right and it's not working. But what you put in place, we've got a lot of vultures, we've got a lot of people looking for to be opportunists and so on. You know, and they've got the contacts, you know, they've got, you know, they're educated as well. And they can get themselves in there very easily too, you know. So the next step is going to be very, very big.
All right, look, great stuff. Always good to have Franklyn Stephenson. Speaking of pitches, when we come back on the program, we've sent our correspondent, Joel Manning, down to Kensington Oval to talk a little bit to the head curator there about the kind of pitches we're going to expect in this upcoming first-class season. When we come back on Massey United Insurance's Line and Length, we'll be at Kensington Oval. Don't move a muscle.
Across the Caribbean, more people are placing their trust in Massey United Insurance for the protection of the things that are important to them, their homes, businesses, and their prized possessions. That's because Massey United Insurance offers excellent general insurance coverage to help you manage whatever life sends your way. Our cadre of well-reputed agencies and trained insurance professionals are always ready to provide you with sound advice and prompt service. Choose the security and sound strength that is Massey United Insurance.
And welcome back to Massey United Insurance's Line and Line. For joining me, Vaspert Drakes and Ezra Mosley, the two coaches of the West Indies women's team. Gentlemen, a great performance by the West Indies women's team. Vasi, your thoughts?
I thought we played some really good cricket. Obviously, it's a continuation from the wonderful work we've been doing in Sri Lanka, and we set ourselves some standards, and we're quite happy to see that we are actually hitting those targets.
Pakistan, obviously not the best competition you would have had for a while, but it's important to win and to win well, especially at home.
Yes, we thought that, you know, obviously our objective was to win all the games we played against. We're going to be playing against them, and we did that. Well, obviously, the first game they beat us, and we realised that, you know, we have to play some good cricket. And one of the things that we recognise, you know, going forward, if we can continue to set some standards and be consistent in all the areas, you know, we have the World Cup coming up, so that's something that we're looking forward to. Girls, in general, they control the game for a long period. Obviously, Stephanie Taylor was in tremendous form, followed up by Shamila Connell. I thought she bowled very, very well this season. She actually set the tone in the bowling department. So everyone actually made a valuable contribution. So it was a whole team, a whole collective performance from everyone.
Ezra, you've been around with the women's team a bit longer than Vasi. The improvement that you've seen, tell us about it.
I think the improvement is a result of hard work. As Vasi said, we've set some standards where we ask the girls to work hard, take control of their own game. And then Papi, the trainer, came in this tour, and he also pushed the girls. And they, at first, they were a little bit reluctant, but then they bought into what he was doing, and they really enjoyed what they were doing. And at the end of the tour, I can honestly say that they were a lot fitter. So the hard work is definitely paying off.
What's next for the West Indies women's team?
I think in February they're going off to South Africa just before they go to World Cup.
And Vasi, as head coach now, what would you like to see happen for the women's team now? Obviously, you've just come off of what was a pretty tough series, very concentrated in St. Lucia and Grenada. What would you like to see to happen next prior to that tour?
I think it's just like a natural progression again in terms of their training, their preparation going into the series in South Africa. It's going to be pretty tough. It's going to be challenging. So we want to make sure that when we leave here, you know, at least we're ticking all the necessary boxes that would allow us to achieve our objectives. So for them, it's to continue to do the good work that they've been doing. We have some programs that we can try to see if we can get into the islands and see how much they're paying attention to the areas that they need to work on. And you know, and continue to, you know, to set targets and not waiting until the tournament starts, you know, to switch on. You know, you have that December period where there's going to be a lot of ham being eaten, you know, I think. So, you know, you got to enjoy yourself, but the most important thing, we decide that we really want to go hard and do well in the World Cup coming up. So, you know we have a lot of work to do.
Vasper Drakes and Ezra Mosley, head coach and assistant coach of the West Indies women's team.
Steeped in history, the Kensington Oval pitch is one known for its pace and bounce. However, the last test of this surface came back in May when England played West Indies. It is for that reason today that we talk to the head groundsman, Hendy Davis. Hendy, now we're here at the Kensington Oval. Firstly, let's talk about the ground. How long does it take to prepare a ground like Kensington for a regional tournament?
Well, roughly around 3 weeks. The outskirt preparation, the pass, the field and everything is about 3 weeks. And also the pitch is about 3 weeks. We start to work on everything together and we always got a couple of days in advance.
Okay, and then in terms of the wicket, how do you believe that it will play over the 4 days of the first encounter?
Well, I feel it should be a good, reasonable batting track. You get a little pace and bounce and good carry. But between the second day, we get a little more pace of the pitch and everything.
Okay, then, so you're suggesting to the captain that he's going to win the toss here tomorrow. What do you suggest that they do?
I suggest I win the toss because I believe in winning the toss and batting.
Okay, then. There you have it, Barry. If you win the toss tomorrow, it's time to put on those leggers and have a bat. We're here with young Kemar Brathwaite, leading run scorer in the recently concluded elite season. He's also been drafted into the Barbados PCL team for the opening encounter. First of all, Kemar Brathwaite, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so let's start with the elite season. You were the leading run scorer with 754 runs, 2 centuries, 5 half centuries, average of just over 44. What have you been doing this season compared to previous seasons?
Well, I just try to put my best foot forward. You might probably get a little change in the practice session. I think that helped increase my cricket along with the talent that I have. Just goes to show that so long as you put in the hard work and look to go far in your cricket, I guess that's the major thing that got me there.
Okay, and is there anyone in particular, maybe a coach or a family member, that you can attribute this success to?
Well, yeah, there'll be people that'll be right there, probably just even talking me through the situations and stuff. So I guess, yeah, people will be right there just listening to probably see what they have to say to as well.
All right, following the elite season, we had the trials. Now, knowing that, it would have been your first time in the senior trials, were you a bit nervous going in? You scored 100, but were you nervous heading into the trials?
Well, it was probably, as a cricketer, it was still probably got a little something there, whether it be probably nervousness or very anxious or what's not, but I just decided that I just give it my best shot, regardless of what the situation may be, and get a good turnout.
Okay, now the PCL season begins tomorrow. You're in the squad. Hopefully you get the start, but given that you do get that start, what are you hoping to do in this year's first-class season in terms of runs?
In terms of runs, just looking to put my best foot forward and hope that I get a good turnout.
All right, thanks a lot, Kemar, and all the best for this season.
All right, thanks.
Well, that's it for this week. Of course, you can continue to send your emails to cricket@lineandlength.net. If you want to go on Twitter, our handle is @linenet. I'm Barry Wilkinson. On to next week. Bye-bye.